Alright, a little bit of a quick update when it comes to Bleach Soul Resonance, which is pretty interesting because I wasn't expecting that, but as you guys know, when we last left off, I did inform you guys to say that with the previous testing being officially complete, we will be next to looking into a public beta. That is right. Alright, so we've got the next testing phase for this game is not going to be the official release, however, it will be a public beta. Now, what's interesting with all of this is that, shout out to Kaku, but we got a bit of a release date, but the release date is very interesting and very questionable because it states that the game is going to be releasing on the 4th of December this year. 4th of December. That seems a little bit too long. That's what, in 5 months from now? Now, from playing the Closed Beta, to be fair, does it require a 5 months gap? No. It honestly, with the game itself right now, it just requires a little bit of a cleanup, in my personal opinion. A little bit of a cleanup, of course. To warrant a 5 months gap tells me that there's a little, well, I say a little, there could be like a drastic overhaul. That's the only reason why I could think of. Now, really thinking about it and then thinking about how the next testing phase will be a public beta and that how progression does carry over, it could be the sense of the public beta being released in September and it kind of being a roll through into the release in December, or it could be where the public beta is out for a certain amount of time and then maybe they need, like, I don't know, a month or a couple of weeks downtime period just to kind of finalize the game a little bit, so that way they can officially release it, but progression will still keep on, of course. So it's going to be one or the other. However, please do keep in mind is that obviously with the date given being the 4th of December, that could very well be just a placeholder date to be like, look, the game is going to be releasing in December for sure, but we want to have it before or dead on 4th of December at the beginning. So better than that than end of December, otherwise that's even more waiting right there, of course. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now, and again, there's 2 ways to go about it, but definitely in the months to come, access to the game will be viable, progression will be kept, and again, if that wants to then roll into December, then I don't think it'll be a bad idea. I just hope that it's not too much of a gap between the public beta and the release. Again, they could do a roll through to where the public beta will roll into the release. That is also doable, but outside of that, I think it's furthermore confirmation to be like, okay, if that's when we're getting the CN release of the game itself, then I think the whole 2026 or the beginning of 2026 for global is an absolute reality. Because at first I was like, nah, there's no way. I mean, at the very least they might get something out, but if their goal is to get CN ready to rock and roll by the end of the year and utilize all that time and all that time, resources and whatnot, then I think global continuation and confirmation announcements, all that good stuff will could possibly happen in December when the game is officially out, because of course they want to prioritize getting the CN version out, and then we're looking around about first quarter of next year possibly, with how things are looking right now. So once again, to have that big of a gap, it's still very questionable on what the reasoning is and what was said in terms of the player base and what we wanted. Maybe the developers are rethinking things about what to add. If anything, when it comes to the public beta, they can, if they choose to, release it like near the end of November. So I mean, it's not going to be to the extent where it's going to be available for months on end, right? So it could be a thing where they release it at the end of November, that then bleeds into the close of the public beta, and then a week later, the full game releases. That's also a possibility. So that then comes back to the question, is that big amount of time, what is being overhauled? Because again, for the most part, like I said, with the game itself, with what I've shown and what you guys have seen, and with what I experienced, for the most part, it just needs a little bit of a polishing up. And then in terms of just kind of not fixes, but improvements for the game, it was more so on just giving us more stamina, maybe reducing the costs on certain events, just things like that, which doesn't exactly warrant a couple of months break, to be honest. So it's very questionable on what has happened behind the scenes, why they need this long period of time, it's very questionable. Yeah, so I've got an idea. Well, I say I've got an idea. I have an idea purely because of what the CN player base have been screeching about, but it will warrant more than a 5 months gap. Like it would legit warrant way more than that in terms of adding what the CN players want. But yeah, I'll speak about that on another video, because it, in a way, it does kind of make or break the game for the game itself. So yeah, I'll have to speak about that. But for right now, ladies and gentlemen, December 4th is the date that we got. Like I said, it's a bit of a placeholder date, but it guarantees us to say that by then we'll get this game. So by the beginning of the last month of this year, we are going to get our hands on this game. In between now and then, there will be a public beta where everyone can get access to the game and play it ahead of time. Progression will carry over, of course, and just to reiterate, once the game is out for CN, then we can look forward to global on what the plan of action is and how long global is going to be. So that way we can kind of judge on if global is going to catch up, or if, how far along CN and global will be in terms of updates, of course. So yeah. Anyway, 4th of December. Oh, I'm glad it's not the end of December, but like I said, could be a placeholder date, and once again we get a public beta playtime. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom.